Welcome back, children. Today, let's learn the lesson The Last Leaf, written by O. Henry, taken from your textbook Moments for Class 9. Let's look at the introduction about the author. William Sidney Potter, born on September 11, 1862, and died on June 5, 1910, better known by his pen name O. Henry, was an American short story writer. He was born in North Carolina and later moved to Texas in 1882. In 1902, after the death of his wife, Potter moved to New York, where he soon remarried. It was while he was in New York that Potter's most intensive writing period occurred, with Potter writing 381 short stories. Potter's works include The Gift of Magi, The Duplicity of Hargreaves, and The Ransom of Red Chief. His stories are known for their surprise endings and witty narration. Potter also wrote poetry and non-fiction. Potter's legacy includes the O. Henry Award, a prestigious annual prize named after Potter and given to outstanding short stories. O. Henry House and O. Henry Hall, both in Austin, Texas, are named for him. Let's look at the introduction to the lesson. The Last Leaf is a touching story of how a painter inspires a girl to live and in the process loses his own life. Two friends, Sue and Johnsy, lived together in a rented apartment. Johnsy contracts pneumonia and loses her desire to live. She announces that she would die when the last leaf fall off the ivy creeper that could be seen from the room's window. When the last leaf falls off, their neighbor, Mr. Behrman, goes out in the storm to paint one. This gives hope to Johnsy. On the other hand, Mr. Behrman contracts pneumonia and dies himself. Let's look at the line-by-line explanation of the chapter. Two girls by the names of Sue and Johnsy lived together in a small flat. They were artists. The flat was on the third floor of an old house. In the month of November, Johnsy was struck by pneumonia. She remained in bed and would look out of the window. Sue was very worried about Johnsy and called the doctor. The doctor visited them daily, but there was no improvement in Johnsy's health. The doctor secretly asked Sue if something was the matter with Johnsy. Sue replied that there was nothing to worry and asked why did the doctor think so. The doctor said that it seemed to Johnsy had decided to not to live and did not want to recover from the illness. In such a case, medicines would not work on her. Sue tried to liven up Johnsy. She discussed interesting things like clothes and fashion with her, but Johnsy remained unaffected. She lay in bed. Sue sat beside her and started painting in order to create interest in her and take her mind off her illness. Sue would whistle at times to brighten up Johnsy. Sue heard that Johnsy was speaking softly. Johnsy was making a backward counting while looking out of the window. Sue was curious and looked outside. She saw an ivy creeper plant beside the window of the room. As strong winds were blowing, the leaves of the creeper were falling. Sue asked her what the matter was. Johnsy said 6. Then she said that the leaves were falling faster. She added that 3 days ago there were a lot of leaves on the ivy creeper, almost 100, but now only 5 were left. Sue replied that it was autumn season and it was natural for the creeper to shed its leaves. Johnsy said that she would die when the last leaf fell. She added that she had known this for the last 3 days. Sue replied that this did not make any sense. The leaves had nothing to do with her health. The doctor was sure that she would recover. Johnsy remained quiet. Sue got a bowl of soup for Johnsy. Johnsy did not accept the soup. She was not hungry. Then she said that 4 leaves were remaining on the ivy plant. She wanted to see the last leaf fall before sunset and then she could die peacefully. Sue tried to show affection towards Johnsy. She said that Johnsy would not die. She kept the curtain open because she needed the light to complete the painting. She would sell it to fetch money for them. Sue requested Johnsy not to look out of the window. Johnsy agreed and asked her to finish the painting so that she could be in time to see the last leaf fall off the ivy plant. She was tired of waiting to see it fall. She wanted to die and was tired just like the poor tired ivy leaves. Sue asked her to try to get some sleep. As she had to paint an old miner, she would call upon their neighbor, Behmen, to be a model for her. Sue went downstairs to the ground floor of the house where Behmen lived. Behmen was a 60-year-old painter. He aspired to paint a masterpiece. Sue discussed Johnsey's condition with him. She said that Johnsey was sure that she would die when the last leaf falls off the ivy plant. Behmen commented that Johnsey was being silly. Sue said that Johnsey was suffering from high fever. She was not eating too. Sue was worried about her. Behmen went to see Johnsey. They entered the room quietly. Johnsey was asleep. Sue drew the curtains and they went to the adjoining room. Sue looked out of the window. There was only one leaf left on the creeper tree. There was heavy rain accompanied by strong and cold winds. The last leaf was due to fall any moment. Behmen did not say anything and went back to his room. The next morning Johnsy woke up and in a feeble, weak voice asked Johnsy to open the curtains. Sue was worried and hesitantly drew them back. Sue was glad as she announced that there still was one leaf on the creeper. It appeared green and healthy. It hadn't fallen despite the storm. Johnsy said that she had heard the winds the previous night. She had thought that the leaf would definitely fall. She added that it would fall that day for sure, and then she would die too. Sue said that Johnsy would not die. She had to live for her friends. She added that she would become lonely if Johnsy died. Johnsy smiled and closed her eyes. She was weak. After almost every hour, she would look out if the leaf was still there or not. It seemed that the leaf was stuck to the creeper. There was another storm that evening, but the leaf did not fall. Johnsy kept on looking at it and then she called to Sue. Johnsy said that she had been a bad girl. Sue looked after her while she did not cooperate and remained sad. The last leaf had made her realize her mistake. She said that the desire to die was the wrong one. Sue was glad to see the change in Johnsy. She got Sue for her, gave her a mirror to tidy her hair. Johnsy was very happy and bright that day. The doctor visited that afternoon and said that the desire to live was back in Johnsy. He was sure that she would recover. He went downstairs to check Behmen, who was suffering from pneumonia, and there was no hope that he would recover. The next morning Sue sat beside Johnsy and told her that Behmen died that morning. He had been ill for the last 2 days. The janitor, caretaker of the building, had found him in his bed. His clothes and shoes were wet and he was shivering. He had gone out at night during the storm. A ladder and a lantern were lying near his bed. Paint brushes, green and yellow colored paint, were also lying nearby. Sue asked Johnsy to look at the leaf. It did not flutter when the wind blew. It was the masterpiece that Behmen aspired to paint. When the last leaf fell at night, he painted this one.